Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another installment of the Johngy or Else podcast. I, of course, am who else but Tommy Else. And with me, as always, is the man on the beat from Johnny'sBeat.com, Mr. Jonathan Gallagher Robleski. How you doing, sir?
Well, my global traveler boss, Frank Gallagher, will be happy with that one.
There you go.
You're not on the payroll, are you? Did he pay you to do that?
No, I'm just still, shooting in the dark, trying to find out that middle name.
Well, you already know the middle name, but I'm not going to remind you.
I've been told the middle name,
Well, maybe
but I
one of
don't
these times you'll hit it.
I don't remember. So how are you, sir? How's it been?
I'm okay, nothing major, just
So
relaxing.
I didn't want to bring it up last time because we had some guests on the show, and I don't like to air, our dirty laundry, when we've got, people on and everything. But you are back, fresh off suspension,
I'm just
and
going to ignore that whole suspension thing. That's going to be like a
and
forgotten because I don't agree with any of that. So we're just going to skip beyond that.
but
It's like who held the briefcase, all that stuff. No.
no, well, I mean, I just think that it's, I'm just asking because, like when guys in WWE get suspended, they get some time off, they shake off the cobwebs and everything. Maybe they get back in the gym, they like, diet and they come back looking a little better from before. Like, do you feel refreshed? Do you feel like, getting a little break? You came back, ready to
No, you
go,
went
ready to
rogue, and
get
my
loose.
attorneys will be speaking with you about that. But I don't want to air the dirty laundry either.
Yeah, I see. Uh, so I know you,
But I am ready, baby. Let's get this going.
oh, geez. All right. Don't get it's too much energy. It's still too early in the day.
Says you. Maybe you need to pick it up a little bit, down boy.
I guess it's not early in the day at all, actually.
No, for those of you watching, we're recording this at
it's like 12.
12:21,
Yeah, it's high noon. Yeah.
which if it
So,
was reversed, would be rush. That'd be rush 21:12.
here's something I want to talk about. This weekend is daylight savings.
Hate it.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. Just be
Hate
done
it.
with it. Stop doing it. Just stop doing it. Every year they say we're going to stop doing it, and then every year they do it again. Just stop. Stop screwing with the clocks. Just
Right.
make it
This is the
like
1920s anymore.
right. We don't need it. We don't need it. So I could be wrong, but maybe you know better than I do. But isn't the reason that this was started in the first place to accommodate like farmers and stuff
Yes.
like that? Yeah. So like they got up at the right time or whatever, or
Yes.
took care of the crops at the right
To
time and shit.
optimize and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I think they all got alarm clocks and stuff now, and
And modern technology and
right. There's, I
machinery.
think, yeah, I just don't, it's an old system that has no appliance anymore. There's no reason, no utility for it anymore. It's just,
And there are parts of the country that don't use it. I'm not sure how much, but there
yeah,
are
there
certain
are a few that
pockets.
just say screw it. Yeah. And
Well, why can't the rest of us do that?
I don't know, but
It's dumb. It's
I,
antiquated. It's unnecessary. That's a goblet you're drinking out, man. That's
this
a,
is, this is a Portillo's goblet. Yes.
I like
Um,
that. Very
I,
regal.
it's fantastic. So I, when I was younger, my father, anytime we went to Portillo's, would get one of these full of beer, you know, and eventually they got to where they sold them. So my dad would always keep a few of these in his freezer, and so there was always a frosty mug ready for him, to put a beer in and everything. I got one. Now I'm not a beer guy, but I got one back then, and I have always kept one in the freezer. And even if I put, soda or something like that in there, it is nice.
I just think it
Um,
looks cool. You can hold it,
yeah.
You should be
Uh,
reading a book while you can, it's like you got the book.
yeah. No, it's
Oh, wait, what am I talking about? You reading a book? That's not going to happen.
take it easy, buddy. I got a big library.
Coloring books don't count,
Coloring books.
and you don't say the lines.
I actually wouldn't mind getting the coloring book, but yeah, that's why I have a big and right now I my usual water bottle is I just threw it out and I have nothing to put water in right now, so I pulled out the Portillo's goblet there. So
You
that's
don't
what
have a spare sippy cup?
sippy cup. I have other glasses I could have used, but I thought, well, I want it cold.
Yeah,
What
I
the?
like it. I think it
I don't
looks.
I don't use it much. What the hell? So a couple weeks ago, you ran into one of our previous guests we've had on the show,
I
Mr.
did.
Evan Lilick. You got to meet him in person for the first time. Tell
Lives
us
in color, baby.
tell us what happened, man.
Well, I was covering the Loyola women's basketball team. I think it was the last game of the year or the second to last game. I forget.
Yeah.
And I walk in as I always do. I was there pretty early, like over an hour before game time. So usually when I enter, there's nobody else there because who gets there that early? So I get there and I'm walking by. I've got my press credentials on, and I'm walking by, and I hear this little voice. It's Johngy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't usually happen to me. So I
Good.
turn around and I see Evan with obviously his
His
father.
yeah, his mom and dad and
Yeah.
probably his
Then his
sister.
father
Yeah.
like kind of calls me over and I walk over and we just chatted for a bit. His father and I think it was, I want to say it was St. Louis, but I'm not positive. They were playing, Loyola was playing St. Louis. He went to the other school. So
Yeah.
he was cheering against the Ramblers.
Yeah,
Um,
but their one of their cousins was also playing for Loyola though too.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why that was their main reason for being there was because they were getting
Oh,
to see her play.
you know who it
So
was?
no, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find
Oh,
out and let you
well,
know.
find out because I'd be interested in that. So then,
Yeah,
yeah, I took a picture with Evan. I immediately sent it to you, and then it reminded you of, or reminded both of us of when you had met my young cousin Noah when you were Ubering.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was Ubering and I hadn't seen Noah in a long time at the time, and Noah was a little kid, more well, he's early teens,
yeah, he was like 8 at the time, or 10 at the time, 12. I don't
yeah. So I hadn't seen him in a while, and this big guy gets in the car and stuff,
know.
and I'm giving him a ride, and I had a Resistance Pro sticker in my window, and he was like, so he's like, that's cool. He's like, you know about Resistance Pro, huh? And I said, yeah. I said I was in it, and he was like, wait a minute. And I said, yeah. He was like, you were Eric St. Vaughn. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And I was like, not expecting that, I didn't get too many people I picked up who were like, Eric St. Vaughn. And he's like, oh, my
That's
uncle.
even a longer shot than me meeting Evan.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, my uncle is Johngy. And I was like, Noah. I was like, yes, I know you. Yes, of course. So and it was so cool. We had a really great drive and talked the whole time and stuff and caught up, and it was good to hear him doing well and stuff. And that guy, I could tell, loves you to death, man. I mean, like he ranted and raved about you and everything. So when we got there, I was like, there's no way we're not taking a picture and sending this to John. So that was a very cool thing. I remember that made my day. That was a
It
really
made
nice.
mine, man.
It was a
You
really
know,
nice
I,
exchange.
it's funny because his dad, they all call me his uncle. I'm not his uncle. We're cousins.
Yeah.
I'm technically first cousins with his
Or maybe I'm
no, no,
misquoting
no,
him. I don't
no.
know.
They do refer to me that, and it's
Okay.
fine. It's all love. I don't really care.
Yeah. No.
I
Well, it's
just
an
find
honor. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just funny. His grandmother, his late grandmother was my first cousin. So
Yeah.
his
Okay.
father, like I don't know how they do first cousin once removed or second cousin. I don't know any of that stuff. But it's funny because even his dad will call me Unc when he sees me.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to correct him. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
the term of
Well, I mean,
endearment. So.
because you would imagine, if anything, they would try to distance you and say like you're like four times removed, and it's like not blood, it's through marriage or something. But for
So
them to
anyway,
bring you in even closer, I
Loyola
suppose is.
lost that game, uh, and they finished their season losing 16 in a row.
Oh,
It was either that I think that game it might have been where they scored a dismal 1 point in the first quarter. They were besotted with injuries. Really nice coach yeah, and there's the tie-in that I know is one of the players is the niece of Louis, my business partner, who you've met at resistance shows. See how it
Yeah.
all ties together? Yeah. But those are fun times with no interviewing the our pro guys.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Check out Johngy's beat and look up the Resistance Pro playlist. You'll see some Noah out there, a young Noah, talking with
Did he
the
interview you?
Ego and no, he never interviewed me.
How
He
did
did.
that not happen?
I
Because I
don't.
know he interviewed you. He interviewed the
I'm almost
who were the
certain
two
I
guys?
it was Ego and there
Who was
was
the
someone.
tag team with the bone, the guy that had the bone? There
Oh,
was
oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
remember he was
Team IOU, Carrie Awful and Nick
Team
Iggy.
IOU.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were
yeah,
fun. He interviewed them. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. They're still out there working.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
They're good guys.
yeah, Carrie. I think they're both dads now. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Carrie Awful. I
Carrie
think it was
Awful's
his
got
name.
like two kids now, I think. So
Yeah,
no, they were awesome and just complete, absolute top notch people. Very respectful, very fun, and I love that gimmick that they did back then. They've changed gimmicks around a lot, but
yeah,
that one in particular, I was the boy and his dog, and the dog just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
his tag partner was his dog, and it was like that was cool. I loved it.
And that
So,
was a fun interview. That was, and Ego was always good on the interviews too. I'm
oh, of
surprised we
course,
never hooked you up because that would seem like a natural, but maybe you were just busy or something.
you know, at a certain point, it's like you can only do so many interviews in a 24-hour span. It just,
Hey, once you hit 40,000 views, I know everyone's after
the
you. Of
line is just never ending, and then you need a little personal time to yourself to mentally
course,
prepare to perform, and you know,
absolutely.
so
But I do
uh,
have speaking of interviews, I wanted to just throw this one out there. I just interviewed a guy, former major league catcher, played parts of 3 seasons. But the main reason why I interviewed him today is because he is in desperate need of a kidney.
oh,
Um, and he's gone through 3 transplants in his life. He's looking for another one now. The interview will be up on. We'll put a link up here. The interview will be up on any of my other sites, including baseballreference.com. And it's kidney4ed.net. Kidney the number 4ed.net.
okay,
Um, just interesting stuff with kidneys. Like now they do. Before, if you needed a kidney, you had to find a
a donor,
compatible donor.
right, right, yeah, you
Now,
can't just stick any kidney in there, yeah,
no, but now they've got this thing that's really cool. It's the kidney exchange. I'm not sure the exact title of it, but it's a kidney exchange. In other words, if I say, Ed, I'd like to donate my kidney to you, but I'm not a match, I could still donate that kidney to this organization, and then Ed gets credit for that.
and then they'll give him one that works for him.
Yes. So it
That is pretty cool.
exponentially increases the odds of him finding a
That is
compatible.
very cool. That is very
Yeah.
cool. I like that. Good.
But it's also a reminder to to look for to donate your organs upon your departure from this earth.
I'm an organ donor. You can have them. I don't need them.
As am I.
I don't think anyone's going to want them. I've been very abusive to my body, and so I doubt they'll
But your
do worth
body
it.
heals too. Your organs do heal to a point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if there's anything salvageable in there, by all means, it's up for grabs.
Scope it out,
So
baby.
yeah, go
But,
for it.
but with your
You
kidneys,
know.
you don't need them both. You could be a living kidney donor as well.
Oh yeah, sure.
If
Yeah. Now
you're
there's a sacrifice that comes with that though too. If you only have one kidney, you can't be a drinker, you can't do a lot of things
no,
that, you
but
gotta but
your
yeah,
other
you
kidney though does grow. It becomes approximately, I believe, it's like a size and a half to more of its former self, and it does take over the function of both kidneys. So for the most part, like you'll live your life without any difference. Yeah, you don't want to abuse it with alcohol and stuff like that, but the rest of your life, really, there's no difference.
yeah, yeah,
Not like you can't do none of your normal life functions change.
right. Well, like I said, I don't know that anyone would want mine, but if the right person needed a kidney, yeah, if my brother needed a kidney, I wouldn't think twice about it. You can have all the kidneys I've got.
But
So
see, that's the beauty of this new company. If you're not a match with
that
your
is
brother,
wonderful, and
so
I hope that that's something that is translated into other organs and stuff like that too. I mean, I don't know if they're just doing it for the kidneys or what, but that sounds like something they should be doing for like everything. Just pool the resources and just, that way people have a better chance of finding that match,
I
because
would think,
before the way, I mean, generally the way it went was if you needed a kidney, you would find someone in your family or something like
right.
that, or a friend, like a really close friend who's willing to give you their kidney. I
Well, there
mean,
was the National Kidney Registry. There was ways to do like a national thing, but it was still not quite the same way. Now it's
yeah,
it's it's exponentially easier now. It's still difficult. There's still at least a 3 month waiting, and there's all
yeah,
sorts of stuff. But it's a lot easier, which is the important part, and it's getting even easier. And like I said, if other organs, I'm sure if kidneys are doing it, I'm sure they're going to do it, or they might be doing it for other organs already. So
right.
the advancements. It's amazing. Unfortunately for you, they cannot transplant a brain.
That's going in the highlight reel of just bad Johngy moments.
Oh, there's a lot of those. Come
Uh,
on.
I'm
That would have to be
compiling.
like a 5-parter.
Yeah. Oh well, trust me, it's coming. So, well, I had a gripe. I had a beef, not with you for change,
Yeah, I'm sure.
it's with the general public.
Well, let's air it out. That's what we're here for.
So I've come into some unexpected expenses as of late, and so I have been going out and doing DoorDash, trying to pick up some extra money to get that stuff paid off, and I don't like debt hanging over me or owing anything to anything. So, uh, you know, get all that paid off and everything. So I've been out there doing DoorDash, and generally speaking, I enjoy doing it. I mean, it's a pretty easy gig. You just, you pick up the food, you take it wherever. 9 times out of 10, people want you to just leave it at their door. And then you hop back in the car and you go out, and it's like with Uber, you had someone else in the car, and so like everything had to be just so. You had to accommodate the temperature, the music,
A
windows
lot of other
open, windows
factors,
closed, yeah, all that stuff. Here I got the whole car to myself. I can listen to whatever I want. I can,
like the John Girel's podcast.
I don't listen to them. I don't definitely don't listen to us.
How can we improve if we don't listen?
uh, I'm hearing us right now, buddy. This is all I need to know. I'm living it.
Anyway,
I'm living it. But anyway, so I generally like it. Now, my favorite is Sundays, because Sundays are kind of like, there's less cars on the road. It's quieter. You're picking up brunch for a family or something like that. I mean, it's usually pretty low key, but it's busy though too. There's a lot of people ordering, so it's like, I just have my coffee, listen to my radio, and whatever, and it's a good time. Now, here's the gripe. I was out the other day, and over the course of a few days of being out and doing this, I realized that I was getting about 1 out of 4 orders were actually tipping me, and I was getting stiffed on the rest. Now, this isn't like you tip it at the end, like most people are putting the tip in when they make the order in the beginning, so it's not like it's based on, well, he was late or he was a dick or whatever the case is. They're just making a conscious decision to not tip. And, the average run around here is like, that you're getting paid from DoorDash itself, you're getting somewhere between maybe 250, 350 tops, so everything that's profit is really coming from the tip. But yeah, no tip, nothing. And if you look at my record, I'm a 5-star driver. I've got a 99% acceptance rate, which means that I take pretty much every order that comes through the thing. And, I've got nothing but superlatives in all of my record and everything. So nobody's complained or given me a single bad review or a bad, less than 5 stars or any of that stuff. So it's not based on my performance. But I just don't understand how anyone would order something from anywhere or in any tipping situation. I mean, I've had some very bad service before in restaurants and things like that. I don't think I've ever given 0 tip. I might give a low tip, but I don't think I've ever just completely stiffed somebody on a tip.
but see now you included and I agree with you. But you included a detail here that you did not when we talked briefly about this before. You included a detail that I didn't know, which I think changes some of the dynamics. You said people would have to tip at the beginning. Is there a way that they can tip you afterwards?
I believe there is, but they're not doing it.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference though. Like if I'm ordering food, right?
Right.
I don't know if you're going to be late.
I,
So
I
I
agree.
would be hesitant to tip at that point.
Yeah.
I'd have no problem afterwards going, man, he got it here in 5 minutes. It's hot, everything's cool. Boom, here's your tip. Or
Right.
leave it in cash wherever. Tipping beforehand, I'm not sold on that.
Oh, and I understand because tipping should be based on performance. If you've gone above and beyond, or or whatever the case may be. Um, so I don't disagree. I do know that like when I order from the pizza place down the street and they're like less than a mile away, so which really angered one of my clients the other day when I told him that I got delivery from the place that's like less than a mile
But
away.
I could see that too, though, because what do? Do you drive then the mile, or you're not going to walk the mile? Like, because I got to, my pizza place is 2 blocks away, but I don't want to get in my car to drive 2 blocks. It takes longer to do that.
Well, and sometimes it's just I've got people over, or whatever. But the point is that they're less than a mile away, and I give the guy at least $5. But when I put the order in, they ask if they give you the option. They're like, do you want to tip them now, or do you want to tip them when they get there? And I'll
I
usually tip
tip
them
when I
ahead
get
of.
there.
I usually tip them ahead of time. But I think for the 30 seconds it's going to take them to drive down the street and bring me the pizza, $5 is a reasonable tip. You know,
Totally.
the pizza was 20, so if you're going to go off of percentages, it's still a 25%
That's
tip.
fair enough. Yeah.
So.
But see, you've also ordered from there before. You probably know what you usually get from there in terms of delivery,
Yeah,
quickness
no,
or
that's true. I mean, like they are very consistent. So shout out to Baroni's in Glen Ellen, as long as we're talking about a great place, a lot of good Italian food beyond just the pizza. It's a good Italian restaurant, but pizza's
and we
definitely
do
up
accept
there.
sponsors.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Baroni shirt, gladly wear it.
I have a Baroni shirt actually,
Well, they're not
but
paying for it, so don't worry about it.
I know.
Wait till they sponsor us.
I understand. I understand how sponsorship works, but
Did I wear this
uh,
before I got hired? No.
well, I know you just whore yourself out to anyone who'll give you a T-shirt.
Damn right.
But I mean, have you ever not tipped somebody?
No, no. Have I ever not tipped anybody at restaurants a few times when the service has been absolute like garbage? But that's like less than 5 times, probably less than 3 times in my entire life. And then the service would have to be like barely edible or tip forever. No, like I'll leave a minimum tip if the service is kind of crappy or whatever, I might leave a minimum tip. But no,
Right.
I'm a good tipper.
Yeah, I think I am too. And I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't compute in my head how people, because you know, if I get DoorDash and Grubhub and all that stuff, it's expensive. It's why I don't use it.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
it doesn't matter. It's the same
but
thing.
if you,
You go
but
to
if
an
you,
expensive restaurant and then
right,
go, well, our steak was $50, so I can't afford to tip.
right, exactly. It's the same thing. Yeah, but that's the problem though, is that there's people out there doing it, and that's what's so frustrating. I mean, and they just like I said, they know what they did, and then you go and hand them their food and they give you a big smile and thank you very much, and it's like, here you go, and smile right in your face, and then you get in the car and you start driving off, and then it tells you what you got, and then it's like 0 tip, and you're like, son of a bitch,
So you've never gotten a tip post delivery?
never.
But you need to find out for me if that's possible though. If
Now
somebody,
like with Uber, I had that where sometimes, and this was kind of an issue within the app itself, I think that it made it hard for people to uh like know where to go to tip and stuff. Like it wasn't user friendly enough, which was at a disadvantage for the drivers. I think they fixed it since, but um, but like, so what would happen is I would drop somebody off or whatever, and then like 10 minutes later, when they have 2 minutes and they're looking at their phone, they're like, oh, and then they hit the button and then they tip, and then suddenly, like a tip will pop up or something like that, and I'm like, all right, there you go, that's cool. And I didn't care, I mean, if it takes them a few minutes, whatever. Uh, so I don't know if that's how it works on the other end. I haven't used DoorDash on the other side of it in like 3 or 4 years probably now. So I forget, but I should ask. My friend Rick uses it all the time. I'll ask him.
Well, I mean, just for clarity's sake, I am not excusing no tipping. I believe you should tip, and you certainly deserve the tip. I'm just saying if you cannot tip afterwards, after the delivery, I would be inclined to not tip beforehand, but to give, at the time that they're delivering, either put cash out there. I don't know how that system works, or
Well,
if
and
it's
that's fine too. I mean, if they don't tip through the app and they want to just give you cash, they can do that. That's fine.
right.
It's
That's what I'm advocating.
this
I'm not
is
a big advocate for pre-tipping. What
yeah,
if I tip you and then like you're not there for 20 minutes and you should
right.
be there in 5?
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Like I said, I think the tip should be based on the performance of whatever the hell they're doing, whatever service is being done. But
But that would preclude pre-tipping.
I understand.
Okay. I'm just saying. Maybe the system needs to be tweaked. That's why I need to know if you can tip afterwards.
Well, and that's very possible too. Like I said, I need to be more familiar with the other side of the app and see how that works, because uh, if they're not making it easy for people to do it, then we're the ones getting screwed. You know,
But the people should still find a way to do it. As I said, you could hand over cash. You could put cash in an envelope if you're just dropping off
or
at
if
the
they
door.
don't understand, like even when I did Uber, they'd hand me their phone and be like, "Look, I'm trying to do this, but I can't figure it out. Can you help me?" And then I'll find a way. I'll make it work. you know?
Right.
So
But
but I
now the bigger issue, or a bigger extension of the issue, is who should get tips and where do you draw the line? If you go to a Subway sandwich shop, and I'm not using the chain Subway, I'm just saying Subway sandwiches. If you go into a sandwich shop, do you tip the person who makes your sandwich?
see, now this is a problem for me too, because I do go to actual Subway shop, the store, Subway, the
Okay.
chain. And a lot of them have now added on the tipping to uh, the payment on the keypad.
In terms of, do you want to leave a tip, or in terms of it's automatically giving them a
No,
tip?
it gives you the option. You don't have to tip.
Okay.
I think Starbucks started doing this now too, because I think this caused a problem with them. Um, Although tipping was something that people were already kind of doing at Starbucks, so there was somewhat of a precedent in that. But with Subway, here's the thing. Subway's kind of on the pricier side, as far as getting a sub sandwich.
Well,
I
they all
mean,
are kind of now.
they all are, but I mean, even still, it's just, I mean, you're looking at, for a sandwich, like if I get like a turkey and cheese, some lettuce and tomato and that's it, that's still like a $10 sandwich.
Well, but it's the same at Jimmy John's and Firehouse and all those. They're all up.
So now they're throwing this on there, and it usually could add anywhere from $2 to $4, or it's a percentage basically. And at first it's a bit jarring, because you're like, well, I've been coming here forever and I never had to tip anybody. And I don't think that like their wages are, it's not like a waitress who's making like $3 an hour and then living off the tips. They're still making their $12 an hour or whatever they're making there. They're getting the tips on top of it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. So here's what has been my deciding factor as far as a tip goes. I go often enough. In fact, I'm going too often, which is why this is a problem. But I go often enough to two separate Subways, and at both of them, the second I walk through the door, they grab the wheat bread, they start making the turkey, I am in and out of there in probably like it's like a pit crew. It's like I get in there by the time I've walked up to the counter, the sandwich is half done. They know exactly how, they know I like extra pepper jack. It's like they do everything
I
up.
understand that.
So then if I get to I get that service, I give you a tip.
I agree.
You remembered my order and you jumped on it the second you saw me walking in the door. That's tip worthy. I'll give you that.
Agreed.
If I go into a random Subway somewhere where they don't know me and I just go through the usual thing, I don't know. I mean, they're just doing their job, you know.
So, okay. I told you this is the example I gave you before. I was at my dad's and we ordered a pizza. I went to pick it up, and the girl behind the counter, hands me the credit card thing and says, "Do you want to leave a tip?"
For what? Yeah, you're picking up the pizza.
No, I don't.
Yeah. No, yeah, for what? Because they were there and handed you the pizza? I mean, like what else were they going to do?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I find it hard to tip, and I'm not cheap. I definitely tip, but I find it hard to tip people for just doing their basic job that they've done
Well,
for 20 years. That why am I tipping you now?
so
Nobody
like
tips me.
it starts at Subway and Starbucks and places like that. But then where does it stop? I mean, like if I go to McDonald's and I put it in order and then they come back, and they give me the order, am I tipping
This is
who
the
am I
point.
tipping? Who's getting the tip? I mean, it's like I'm, like if uh uh Luis is the guy who does my sandwiches in Wheaton, and if I leave a tip on there, like I don't know, like do they know that that should be going to him? Is it going to into like a pool and then they split it? I mean, like at that point, I'd rather just give him something, like give him actual cash. Like that guy at Christmas, I gave him $10 one time just
Right. Yeah,
because
that's different.
because
Agreed.
it was Christmas time and this guy, like I said, he sees my car pull up and he's like I'm walking in and he's already rolling the thing up in the paper. I mean, it's like I'll tip a guy on something like that. That's 5-star service right there at a Subway. So, but yeah, and then what if like I said, McDonald's, Taco Bell, like you know I gotta tip everybody now.
All right. I'm in New York. As you know, I'm at a
No, you're
five-star
not.
hotel.
No, you're
What's
not.
that?
You're in
No.
Skokie.
Picture this. I'm in 2022. I'm in New York. I'm at a five-star hotel. It's like $2,000 a night, right? I'm not paying. It's a whole deal. But anyway, I get there early. My room's not ready, of course. So I give them my bag and they put it in a room. I come back later on. The guy opens the door to give me my bag. I got to tip him. And what do I tip him? Now it's an expensive hotel. Am I just tipping him $1? Am I tipping him five now for just opening the door?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, when you're in a hotel, you got to keep like a wad of cash in your pocket. So, because you got to. Tip everybody for everything. So the guy running the elevator, the guy who brings your bags, the guy who comes and drops off the food, if you get a room service, I mean, yeah, you got to, it's like going to a strip club. You better have some dollar bills on you, get the singles at least. So,
I stayed
I
at
don't,
one hotel where it was a complimentary stay. It was a trade, and they want to impress me as the writer. So I get there and I get the call when I'm in my room. We have this care package thing. Welcome to whatever hotel we want to bring up to you. And I said, well, I'm really just heading out for the night. Anyway, this goes on for a couple days, and they're making a big deal about this, right? So I'm finally in the room for the afternoon. They call and I go, hey, great, bring it up now. That'd be perfect. So I have no idea what it's going to be. So I've got a 10 that I'm going to tip the guy because I think it's going to be something impressive. He comes up, he's got his hands like this. He's literally holding two bottles of water and a packet of chocolates. They had like three chocolates. I'm sure they were fine chocolate, but like three. So he's got this. The $10 I gave probably would have paid for at least half of what that was. Like you could even like this is ridiculous. Now I'm tipping the guy $10 for two bottles of water and three pieces of chocolate.
so let me ask you this. Do you tip the person who does your hair?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so now they're getting paid.
Well, the person that does my hair owns the shop, and she always she's the owner, and she always cuts my hair. So I think that the usual bill is like 16, and I give her 20.
Well, that's a very generous. That's over 100%. So yeah, that's a very generous.
Wait, how is it over 100%?
If
It's 16, and I give her 20. It's
Oh,
four
you're
dollars.
giving her a $4 tip. I thought you meant you're giving her a $20 tip. Oh,
No, no, no. I'm giving her a $4 tip. It's 25%.
okay. So my question ultimately, it's not about how much of a tip you're leaving. It's I agree because I tip my hair person as well. And but given the argument of they're getting paid anyway, I mean my haircut is $45. So I mean I'm giving and I give a pretty generous tip, I think. So but for $45, I
Well,
think
yeah, I mean, you've
I think
got you've
he's
got a you've got a
he's
style. I don't. I just
he's
go there just
probably
to get it
doing
chopped.
well. All I'm saying is that if he's making $45 on the haircut, he's probably not hurting for the
That's
tip
true.
so much. You know what I mean? But yet
Right.
we tip anyway. So I'm just, it's like it's tough. It's tough to decide like what is tip worthy and what is not. I mean, and if you're gonna base, I'm just saying if you're gonna base it off the fact that they're already making a salary that they don't need necessarily to thrive on the tips, then why tip?
Well, the
But
difference is theoretically for a hairstylist, theoretically, you're tipping because they're doing something for you. They're doing, putting extra care. Making the sandwich,
I agree. I
it's
agree.
it's assembly line.
Right. I agree. And then again, that's also why, like, if they're making my sandwich that they know that I want, the way I like it and everything, then yes, and I agree 100% with what you're saying is that, the person who's doing my hair is taken into account, they're doing it specific and tailored for me, and they also know me and know how to do my stuff. So,
I don't
uh,
tip the cashier at the Jewel when I go grocery shopping.
right, exactly. But I
Now,
mean,
do you
yeah,
do you use the self checkout? By the way, something like that's a vehement argument for some people.
I avoid it at all costs. But if I really only have like a couple of things and I think it'll go smoothly, then I'll go ahead and do it. I don't have a problem checking it out myself, but I mean like I only if I'm just like getting like a couple of things or something, and I rarely am. I'm usually like with a cart, and I'm not gonna sit there and bag the whole damn thing and everything. I'll go up to a cash register and have a person do it for me. Throw it all on the belt, have the dude bag it. I mean, Walmart's rough, man. I was there earlier this week, and I bought a bunch of stuff, and it's like I always forget that like now there's literally no
Oh, right,
people at all running the register. There's people standing around to help you,
right.
but and then the big thing for me is if you ever get any liquor or anything like that, then you got to
Or
wait for
cough
some.
medicine.
Yeah, you got to wait for someone to come over and look at your ID and all that stuff and everything. And, you know, like if I'm in line at the thing, I have it out ready to go. And, don't wait for them to ask. I'm just like, here you go, bang, boom, get it out, So I don't like doing it, but, I will on occasion. So
I mostly do it, and I know people will rail against it, but I mostly do it.
I mean, if you don't care, then I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I
Well,
just,
people, it's cutting jobs, and why should I do it
But you
when
know what though? Here's the thing. I mean, I sympathize with the fact that, being a cashier is probably one of the few jobs that just about anybody can get, is being a cashier somewhere doing it. So the problem is that regardless, as our world moves forward and things
right
innovate, there are going to be jobs that like, there's
get
not a lot of
eliminated?
blacksmiths out there anymore. You know what I mean? It's like there's
And the shoe shine business has
The
gone way
shoe
down.
sign business is really on the downturn. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of carriage rides. You don't see a whole lot of that going on anymore. A horse taxi.
Door
No,
to door
it's
vacuum cleaner salesman. It's just that business is really
nobody's
down.
selling encyclopedias door to door.
Nobody's
No,
making
there's nobody's
encyclopedias
making
anymore.
encyclopedias anymore. Yeah, I mean, so it's just part of the world. It's part of the way. I know it sucks. It's an uncomfortable, change is very uncomfortable and hard to get through and stuff, but there's other gigs that will be generated because of other stuff, and it'll shift. You'll find it. There's
I
I
don't
mean, like
know.
even with things like doing Uber and DoorDash and stuff like that. Again, now those are jobs that have opened themselves up to people that, I mean, you don't have to interview for it. You don't have to, have a resume made up or anything like that. If you've got a car and you're insured, and you can go out and make as much money as you're willing to work. So, that's an option. So,
Well, I don't. There's 2 points. I don't recall people being in outrage when gas stations went self service, and I don't think it's eliminating jobs so much at Walmart. There are still people there. I think if they didn't have all that, if they still had cashiers doing it all, there would just be longer lines, and there'd be 3 cashiers, and you would just wait forever.
well, that is true, and that's which is really more of an issue of their management, because you're right. There could be 20 registers, but if there's only 3 people working them, then
Yeah,
then who cares? Because you are just standing in a very long line. So that is a good point. That is a good point. And yeah, you can take the same 3 people who would be on those registers and spread them out amongst the various stations where they can just, help you with stuff. But at the same time, the only other thing I would say about that, as far as checking yourself out, is that I know, like, if my grandmother were alive today and she walked into a Walmart and her only option was to check out, it would be an absolute nightmare. I mean,
but I've seen though.
someone
I've seen.
someone would have to like do it
Yeah,
for her, or I'd
they
have to
do.
be there with her and stuff. Well, I hope so. I mean, that's the only other thing, because there's some people that just they don't understand, touch screens, or
Oh, my
what
dad can never do it. There's no
right. I
way.
mean, it's just there's we haven't, like, there's still a generation out there that's just, this is kind of a little, out of their league, and it's understandable, and you know so,
But
but
they do. I have seen it where the assistant or one of the wanderers or the staffers will
yeah,
come over and help the elderly or the people that need help, whether they're old or they have other hindrances.
yeah, well, you're a hindrance, so they probably help you. And so, but anyway, well,
That
that's
brought
my
the
rant
streets and
for the
all,
tipping and everything. So people, tip your drivers, tip your waitresses,
and your
tip,
podcasters.
yeah, sponsor your podcasters. You listen to the show. We'll plug whatever you want. You know, we
We accept donations of food, clothing, cash,
yeah,
credit, debit,
tickets, free tickets to things.
free tickets.
Yeah, if you have a friend you'd like to set up with me, let me know. Uh,
If you have a friend's mom you want to set up with me,
there you go. We can get, yeah, if you got a girl and her mom uh to set up with me and John, we'll you know
that would be funny, man. You and me dating
we'll
mother daughter.
we'll do a we'll do a double date, and we'll record it, and do an episode. So
All we got to do is find a mom and daughter.
yeah, so any mom and daughters out there, I mean, not any, we're gonna have to there'll be a
It'll be a
process,
vetting
a vetting
process.
process, but you know the right ones
Linda
come
McCann and
right
Stephanie.
ones come along. We'll see. You never know.
Linda and Stephanie.
If you want Linda, buddy, you go right.
Well, look,
You
I'm just
go
doing that
right.
for the money, and I'll be the kept man,
The
the boy
cat.
toy.
God. Yeah. Well, on that disgusting note, I think we'll leave our our people here. So, well, John, Baseballreference.com. That's who you're promoting right now.
Right now, sure.
Okay.
They've picked up my
Today.
any baseball, any sports related because they've got multiple sites. Football reference on it. I'm trying to convince them to do a wrestlingreference.com. That'd be cool. But I don't actually write for them, but they pick up any sports related stories I write,
I see.
thus widening my platform.
Yeah. Well, your platform's pretty wide there, buddy. All right, buddy. Well, if somebody wanted to explore this wide platform of yours, where on the internet and social media could they find you?
I've heard they're the same thing, but I've heard erroneously. People could find me. Just look up Johngy's Beat. You'll find me everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Baseball Reference, and all the sports reference sites, globaltrailer.com, theeverydayfan.com, The Patch. But more importantly, you'll find me all the time on the Johngy or Else podcast, along with my good friend and partner, Tommy Else. But we're
Does
going to
any
do it.
does anyone ever actually contact you on LinkedIn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you hear from on LinkedIn?
I heard from an old colleague at the newspaper where I used to work years ago.
I don't know.
And actually, I had another colleague where I used to work reach out to me on LinkedIn and wanted to connect or whatever, and I declined it because he was a ass clown.
Do you like owe these people money? Is that why they're reaching out to you? They're like they finally tracked you down or found you. They're like,
You're my friend too, you know. That's the thing.
uh,
Why? Why such vitriol? Why such animosity, Tommy?
no
What
animosity.
what caused this anger in you? We got to get to the root of that.
Well, if people want to see why I'm so annoyed and put out by Johngy, you can find me on the gram at Tommy underscore else. You can find me on the twit at Tommy underscore else. You can find the Johngy URLs podcast on the spot. You can find us on the book. You can find us on the tube. You can also find our merchandise at the T, prowrestlingtees.com, under the Johngy's Beat store. As always, scroll to the bottom past all the sample
Best
column.
selling merchandise. Scroll past
Yeah.
that and get to the John
Scroll
Heroes.
scroll down to the bottom where the good stuff is, and you'll find T-shirts and hoodies with the John G. Orle's podcast logo on it, and you can let the world know where you get your source of entertainment and news.
You know,
And
real quick before we go though, along the vein of the gram, the pod, and all that, what would you do with LinkedIn?
what would I do with LinkedIn?
Yeah, like how would you say that? You can find me
On the linked,
on the linked. Okay,
yeah, or the link could be the link.
I'm just
Makes
curious.
makes it sound like golf course or something, but yeah, the linked. I'd say the linked. You know,
Well, that's about par.
yeah. Oh, God. I I hate that took me a second, but well, there it is, folks. Uh, we've killed a few more brain cells in in you and in ourselves, and so with that, until next time, I of course have been who else but Tommy else, and with me as always, coming to us from Skokie, Illinois, the man on the beat from JohnG'sBeat.com, Mister Jonathan Baseball Reference Roblowski.